Welcome back to the third episode of Daily Book Dose. My name is Mithun Shah, and it's the third day we're doing this. Today was a difficult one. I actually thought of skipping today's podcast, but then I thought, it's just the third day. There's no way I can skip already. It wouldn't be daily anymore. So today we're going to continue on with the book that we started with a couple of days back, Family in the Nation. And today's chapter, the one that what we're going to be focusing on, is two of the important things that are discussed. One, which is faith, the importance of faith, and the other is desire, human desire. Both which are extremely important. First, let's talk about desire. And there's two quotes I want to read out. Humans presume themselves to have free will because they are aware of their appetites. However, they are unable to understand why they don't want something and act the way that they do. Another one, sort of similar, is most of man's strivings are directed towards a position in which he feels more secure, where all difficulties of life seem to be overcome. The goal of security is common to all human beings, but some mistake direction of security and go astray. So, both of these come sort of to something I really believe in, that azadi always comes in chains. Azadi means freedom. And it's true, no matter how freer we feel that we are, it comes with that much more responsibility. I mean, when we were children, we thought, when we grow up, we'll be free. And then we realize we've got more responsibility. There's something about freedom that whenever we think we're going to be more free, we are free of something that we know of at that time, but we move towards something else. And that something else, if it's with growth, there's going to be more people or things dependent on us. And in the same way, us dependent on more people as well. I mean, the most powerful men in the world, prime ministers, presidents, they're free to do what they want, but they're also so dependent on other people. And to a certain extent, so much of their freedom is also taken away. The freedom of, doing what they want without the whole world knowing. I mean, freedom of anonymity, freedom of movement. How much of that is restricted on them as well? So, when we desire something or when we want something, we go towards that direction of want and desire, but if it's not done in the right way, if it's not done with the right motive, with the right direction, that desire can be quite destructive. I mean, it can also be extremely positive. Desire is not always a bad thing, but that faith of knowing what is the right desire that we need to that we need to follow up on, compared to what is that naked animal sort of desire. That's where the difference is. It comes to another interesting quote by Arthur Scheffer, where probably a German guy, and what he talks about, Will zum Leben, which means the will to life. This is the force that drives man to feel alive, feel desire, and reproduce. This is the will of the inner content, enduring force of the world. It has primary over intellect. Desire is prior to thought, and will is prior to being. So, the desire of reproduction is a basic animal instinct. But this aimless desire to reproduce and perpetuate itself can also be the source of all sorrow in the world. It is this basic desire between animals that leads them to fight. It's this desire between humans that lead us to fight as well. I mean, all of the great dynasties, it was, this will of their name, of their family living on forever. That was quite destructive to mankind as well, wasn't it? So that's desire. The other thing that's spoken a lot about is faith. And one of the quotes that I really love, if you believe in nothing, if you question everything, then where are you? You're like a ship adrift with no destination. Look, faith in the end of the day is something that it's sort of like an anchor that holds us down to something, to some set of core beliefs, core values. It doesn't have to be religion at all. It just has to be core beliefs, core values, and sort of knowing what it is that we really believe in, that we really stand for. It just follows up that all religions are based on faith, but not all faiths need to be religions. So it's not at all about religion. It's really just knowing something for a fact, even though there are no facts to support it. I think that's the faith, right? And that knowing, that knowledge, it gives us meaning to an otherwise probably meaningless life. It makes the whole matter of life worthwhile. This is what they say. And this faith, it's not a bad place to drop our anchor, because it's when all of these anchors are dropped that humanity will actually get together and unite. It's faith is probably the glue that unites all of us, right? But it's the right faith. And after the right faith is the right knowledge, and then the right conduct as well. But it really starts with the right faith, right? Without the right faith, whatever knowledge you have, you might misuse it in the wrong way, and then if you want to misuse knowledge in the wrong way, your conduct is going to be off as well. So really the faith is the root in all of this. It's like from the serial that I'm watching right now, Harshad Mehta Scam 1992, which is about one of the largest scams on the Bombay Stock Exchange. Interesting serial, because I thought it's going to be showing all the negative things about Harshad Mehta, but after watching it, you realize that probably he wasn't so bad, and it was just the environment or the setting that set him up into that bad position. And there were people who set him up for failure who were probably a lot worse than him. But anyway, one of the most important lessons in that was when he was conversing with a manager of one of the banks, and he asked, what is the most valuable commodity, or what is the most valuable asset in the world? And in my mind, I thought the answer was going to be time. After all, time is one thing that once it's lost, you can't get it back. But one of the other things that when they were talking and guessing that it was knowledge, friendship, but it actually came down to trust. Trust is one of the most important, or probably the most important asset in the world, or in the world of business. So why is trust so important? Why is faith so important? Because after all, if you have faith, you have trust in someone, you have trust in something, right? So that's why I think faith and trust are similar. Well, probably the similar reason why time is so valuable also, right? Once it's gone, you just can't get it back. Whereas faith and trust, it's so valuable because it's so easily destroyable. It's so vulnerable. It's so fragile. That's what probably gives it that's what probably gives it its worth, and that's why it's so difficult to have. So how do we bring faith and desire together? It's brought up very nicely from the Four Noble Truths of Buddhism. One is suffering is universal. The other is suffering is caused by desire and yearning. Suffering can be prevented and overcome. Eradication of desires can lead to removal of suffering. Right? So suffering is a reality of life. If we live, we suffer, right? We've got our highs, which are not guaranteed, but we've got our lows, which pretty much are guaranteed, right? So if we live with that, if we have faith that that's the truth, when they do come, those periods of suffering, we'll be able to live across them, or live by them, or pass by them better. So having faith in that, it will also bring reality to our desires, knowing that whatever we desire, imagine we get it, there's a chance that later on we're going to be suffering as well because of it, right? So we have our desires, we get them for effort, for luck, for trying. To me, any number of reasons why we get what we desire. But we should know, and we should have the faith that there's a very good chance, or there's this almost certainty that one day that is going to go away as well. And having that faith that that's a reality of life, and will probably make it more balanced. To prevent suffering, we have to conquer desire. And if we have that faith that we can overcome that desire, then we can sort of prevent the suffering. It's all convoluted. It's all a mash. It's all together. But bottom line from this chapter is there's faith, there's desire. Have faith in your desire, and have faith that by sort of suppressing your desires, thinking of the world, thinking of the universe, you'll be a better person. By suppressing your desires, you'll ensure that there's less violence. You'll ensure that people can live together with one another, and have faith that you can make the difference in the universe as well. So thanks for joining us on this chapter 3. Look, now that I've done 3 of these podcasts or 3 of these shows, I realized that I got to put in more work to have this structured properly. Probably got to give it more time than to just read out the notes that I've written before. I've got to structure it better, no flow of thought. And from now on, I'll start with, like 2 takeaways from this chapter, or 1 takeaway from this chapter. And really, in that talk about nothing else except that 1 takeaway, or those 2 takeaways, rather than going through the whole chapter with just 1 or 2 points, which I really want to focus on. I want to go a lot deeper rather than shallow and do everything. Look, I know there are thousands of great podcasts out there, and I need to make it up to that level. There's a very good probability that no one is going to hear this podcast yet, or got so far on this podcast. There's so much we got to change. Probably the sound quality, probably the video quality, probably the quality of my voice. Those are all external things, but also the clarity of the message, what I want to get across. So yeah, I gotta think about this. I gotta improve. If you made it up here and there's something that you want to share with me, awesome, please do. But more importantly than that, I want to give it a lot more. Today was a difficult day to come up and write this podcast, or talk this vlog, but happy I did it anyway. It will be terrible to stop on the 3rd one. Looking forward to tomorrow's talk, and it's about creating healthy individuals. So the whole book is about how the individual is the cell that ensures that the whole body of the nation and the body of the universe is better. And how can we do that if we're not healthy with ourselves, right? So tomorrow's is about creating healthy individuals. What is a healthy individual? How do we do it? Today's was about faith and desire. And yeah, looking forward to tomorrow's talk. I'll have it better prepared, and we'll do a better job. Thanks a lot for sticking by so long. Looking forward to talking to you tomorrow. Thanks. Ciao, ciao.